Welcome to Boys, episode 157.
157.
We're back, and we have a very, very special
This was
episode.
We say special a lot.
Well, I think I say it every time we have a guest.
I don't want to give. Well, fuck it. You already know. You can see the title of the episode. This has been in the making for a while.
It has. I think we started talking about this right around the first episode.
Yeah.
Like when we were brainstorming ideas, to really make sure we deliver the most quality podcast there is. Because there's not that many to choose from out there.
No, we're one of maybe 5 or
10?
6, maybe
10 max.
I mean, there's Joe Rogan, right? There's
Stuff you should know.
yeah,
Freakonomics.
What's the serial killer one?
What's that called? It's something about serial killers.
Or it's
but
making murder was that's not it. So that takes that out.
It's something about serial killers.
Serial killers. I don't know what it was called, but I mean that's gone now. It's not on there anymore. So I think now it's just us.
One and done. See, we just wait for the others to fall, and that's how we rise to the top.
It's got to wait for Joe Rogan to fall off of his royal crown.
So, yeah, man, just had some elk meat. This is my Joe Rogan. Is this pretty good? So,
no,
that's more like Alex Jones.
Joe Rogan's voice really is. It's hard to get.
It's crazy, man. Jamie, pull that up.
That's pretty good.
That's not good.
No, that's Stone. That's a good Stone Joe.
Man,
have you seen this video where this elk just kind of starts attacking someone? Just Jimmy, pull it. It's really interesting. Really interesting photo.
Man, have you ever seen an elk fight a monkey? That's not good. It's not good. Whatever.
An elk fight a monkey.
I'm working on it. I'll get there one of these days.
Yes.
I'm impromptu soundboard tonight.
Yeah.
So we do have a very special
We do have a great
episode. We do say it every time, but this one is truly
It's great.
special. We took a trip out to beautiful Choctaw, Oklahoma. Met out there.
Our hometown.
Our home base. And we sat down with our dads for a special Father's Day episode. And we're going to get right to that.
Right.
But first, some ads. BoysPodcast.com. It's a hub of all things boys. There you will find links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as a golden donate button. Shoot us a few bucks if you listen every week. You like what you hear. Helps keep it going. Helps keep the dream alive. Again, that's BoysPodcast.com.
Boys is available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify. Spotify, where all the young kids listen to their music.
Now, to hear us on Spotify, you just search Boys Podcast as one word.
All one word. Yeah, pretend it's Zanga or you don't even know what that is.
No underscores, no X,
And no X's.
Boys X.
No number at the end of it. Just Boys Podcast. And all of our episodes are right there. Leave a review on iTunes. Help us rise up the ranks. Subscribe, because the more subscriptions you have, somehow, that tells people that we're viable.
Well, listen. We're all like lemmings to the sea.
Right.
One person subscribes. Somebody else sees, wow, they've got a couple hundred subscribers. Check this out over here. Then you get 200, 300, 400, 500,
600, 700, 800.
We don't have a guest.
No.
For the intro. Email us, boys@boyspodcast.com. Throw your physical address on the bottom of that sweet email. Send us a question. Send us a comment. Send us a concern. Send us your woke thought of the day, and we'll read it on the air. Put that address in the bottom. We'll send you some free stickers. I just sent a round of stickers out this week. Sorry if you hadn't got them yet. I'm going to be honest. Well, one person, they must have got lost in the mail because I did send them out. 2 other people, newbies. Some real noobs. Stickers are on the way. Thank you so much. Again, that's boys@boyspodcast.com.
Thank you to our sponsors, Anthem, anthembrewing.com. Great beers.
Great beers for dads.
They do have a great beer for dads. It's the OK Pills. It's the lowest alcohol percentage one they have. Oh, no, sorry, the Power Pills. That's the one. That's the dad. That's a good dad beer.
It's a dad favorite.
They just brought out the Pappy Burleson again.
Pappy. It's in the name.
It's in the name.
Yeah. One thing I love about Anthem beer is it wets your dad's lips. And I love when daddy's lips are wet. I love to keep my daddy's lips wet. So grab an Anthem. Wet down your dad's lips. AnthemBrewing.com.
Okay. FatBison.com. You've heard it. Unless you're new here. I'm going to tell you a little about him. Matt Bison. Matt Bison.
Matt Bison from
Matt
Fat
Bison, the Fat Bison.
Dad Bison.
Dad
He's a dad.
Bison. He is a dad. He makes really awesome. He started out making wood signs and then kind of maneuvered his way into doing furniture and shit. He makes some really good high quality shit. He made some things for my dad, who is on this episode.
Keeping it dad-centric here.
Dad-centric. FatBison.com.
Now, would you say what he makes is jawsome?
What's Jawsome?
You don't remember Street Sharks, man?
Oh, Jawsome!
They're jawsome!
Yeah.
Or was it Sewer Sharks?
Street Sharks. It was the wannabe Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're sharks. Hey, imagine like Joe Shark goes in there and he's like, listen, I got a great idea for a kids television show. He's puffing on his candy cigar and he's like, it's just like the Ninja Turtles, but it's sharks. What do you think? Nothing? Okay.
They don't skate, they surf.
They're surfing sharks.
They're surfing sharks. They're 4 friends who are surfers. They somehow get hit with some radioactivity, and then they're fucking sharks.
And they got a master that's a possum. Imagine that. Never heard of such a thing. I have a question. I'm going to interrupt the ads real quick. I need to throw it out there to our listeners. Do you mind the voices? I like doing the voices.
I love doing them.
It's so much fun. It's cathartic. It's just a lot of fun. So let me know. boys@boyspodcast.com. Keep the voices up or can the voices?
I'm going to do an addendum to that. If you do like the voices and if you have an impression you want Robbie or I to try out, hit us up at Boys at Boys Podcast, or leave a comment on an Instagram or hit us up via social media in some way.
Yeah.
DM us. Slide the DMs.
It reminds me of our live show for our 50th episode when we made our guests do impressions.
Oh, that was fun.
And we played, for an intro song, we played The Impression That I Get by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Genius. It went over well. It was so much fun.
We're so smart.
We're going to have to get cracking. You know, we're on episode 157 now.
Yep.
We're only 43 away from a big 200.
That's so many episodes.
It's like half a year. It's like a year. But hey, you know what? It's going to be a year in the making.
Oh.
We're going to make it great. Just like Pizza Hut. We're making it great. We're making live shows great again. I really hope that you guys come to see us, and gals and everybody in between. Please come and see us.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you out. We'll get into it the closer we get. But guess what? It's going to be coming up right around the corner.
Yeah.
Not too long. Oh, back to Fat Bison. FatBison.com. He's a dad. Help out a dad.
Yeah.
Keep his wallet full. Keep your dad's lips wet. And keep this dad's wallet full.
Keep that bison's wallet fat. FatBison.com.
Lastly.
Thank you for your donation.
No, we have another sponsor.
Champion Vintage. Champion
how
Vintage.
Dare you forget your wife?
I know.
Oh my God. She's not a dad.
No, she's not a dad nor a mom. She's a woman. And she has a shop. And she has clothes in that shop. And other things in that shop. And you go there and you get something.
Would you say that some of the shirts in the shop may have been worn by dads?
Oh, definitely. We do have if you're a fan of vintage dad shirts, collection, go to Champion Vintage on Instagram, Champion Vintage OKC, you will find there's at least 15 dad shirts.
Be a dad.
Grab one.
Dress up as a dad for Halloween. It's right around the corner.
It's coming up.
Start planning now.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for Halloween this year?
Well, seeing as it's like 7 months away, I'm not really
It's
sure.
not. It's 4.
What is it? Oh my God, yeah, it's already June.
It's like 4 months. Dude, it's not that far away.
We used to plan Halloween costumes well in advance.
We did costumes. We did parties.
Party planning.
We did playlists. We did flyers.
Or you did the DJ set, the Bloodbath.
Robbie Ray, DJ Robbie Ray. I forgot what my DJ name was.
I can't remember. It was something spooky though, right?
It might have been Slightly Spooky. That was what it was.
Slightly spooky.
Yeah, DJ Slightly Spooky. I just played hits by Slightly Stupid, which hits?
Don't even know one.
I couldn't name a song by Slightly Stupid.
I always thought they were a Sublime cover band or something.
I'm going to guess they have a song called I'm So Stupid. Like STOOPID or Let's Get Stupid.
Probably. I'm sure there's a song about smoking marijuana.
We should start a Slightly Stupid cover band called Stupid Is As Stupid Does, but we cover everything, dress like Forrest Gump.
I like it.
Like the different eras of Forrest Gump.
I like it.
So you'll be military Forrest Gump.
Sure.
I'll be a runner Forrest Gump.
With the beard.
And then we'll have your classic, suit sitting on a bench, box of chocolates under the arm. What would the last one be, though? Oh, Baby Gump. Child Gump.
Yeah.
In the
with the leg
thing.
brace.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's genius.
And lastly, guys, gals, everyone in between, thank you for the donations, the feedback, the telling of a friend, and most importantly, listening every week, listening to our incoherent babble. We really appreciate you.
I appreciate you on a personal level for being a part of. That's what I like to think of it as. You're a part of this.
You are,
man.
We're all family here.
Yeah. Without people listening, without people telling us that they love us, that they cherish us week after week, there's no reason for us to even be here.
We couldn't do it without you.
Couldn't do it without you.
And you know what? Bringing it back around to families, back around to dads, most families have a dad. And sometimes I like to feel like me and you are the dads to our listeners.
Yeah, we're like my two dads. We're trying to figure out which one.
Which one are we though? Because was Paul Reiser one of the dads?
No, but it was a dude that looked like Paul Reiser.
It was a poor man's Reiser.
It was a poor man's Reiser for sure. And then there was like the cool dad.
There was the mulleted cool dad that kind of reminded me of like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah,
And
I think
like
you might be more
dad.
that guy.
Am I the cool dad?
Yeah, I'm probably the nerdy dad.
You're the Reiser dad?
Yeah, I'm the Reiser dad.
Man, speaking of dads, we had so much fun with our dads.
Sure did.
We weren't really sure what we were getting into. Pardon us if there's a little bit of noise in the episode. We sat up in the most dad fashion possible. We sat up out in my dad's shop. He's got a big metal building out on his land out in Choctaw, and we just sat up in a circle. We were all sitting in folding chairs.
The garage door was up.
Yeah, the breeze was coming. Well, wasn't much breeze. It was pretty hot.
It's humid.
But you'll probably hear the chirping of some birds, the chirping of some crickets, the chirping of some dogs, perhaps. There's some barking in there. You might hear a fan running in the background. It was hot, guys, but we had to do it for you. So we talk about all kinds of fun stuff, though. We
got into some of the past, our father's past. It had a lot to do. They brought up things that we've talked about on the show before, like jobs, like shitty jobs they've had. And,
and guess what?
What?
We talked about mortality.
We did.
It came up.
It always does.
I've been thinking about that since we recorded the episode. And, we do talk about that a lot on the show. And I think about it a lot. I think about it every day. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't think about mortality.
And every day, does it get a little bit more? Do you think about it just a little bit more?
No, about the same amount every day.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. It comes in, I think about it, and it goes away.
Okay, so it's not like at the crises level?
No. No.
Have you had one of those before, like an existential crisis?
And I'll call it mini crises.
Yeah.
A small one.
One?
Not a big one. But yeah, I've definitely kind of got a little weird.
Yeah.
Not full blown like shave my head and, freak out or something. But I've definitely teetered the line.
Yeah, I went to the movies last night. Usually my crises, my mini crises come out when I'm at a movie theater, but I still go to movie theaters. I don't know what it is about. As soon as the movie starts, I just get this like panic of like, hey, one day you're not going to be seeing movies anymore. Like that's how it starts. Like,
yeah.
Oh, because I'm going to be dead.
Yep.
But I was at the movie theater last night and it didn't hit me. And I thought, I was like, I'm not having that moment. Oh, that's great. And that thought didn't give me the thought of dying.
Great.
So I'm like, I think I've kicked it in the ass.
Baby steps,
And you
man.
know what? I'm going to thank the fine folks at Summerland Wellness Boutique for some CBD. I think the CBD is really helping.
Do you really?
Keeping that shit in check.
I got some from our friend at Summerland. And, but man, I haven't dove into taking it regularly. I'm not really a creature of habit when it comes to medicine.
Right.
I'm a creature of habit when it comes to everything else.
Sure.
But I just forget. So what I need to do is set a reminder on my Apple, Verizon, iPhone XS Max 512 gigabyte with an OtterBox case and a tempered glass screen protector with my World of Warcraft. Cool wallpaper. Watch this. Hey Siri. Remind me at 6:30 a.m. to take my CBD oil.
Okay, I added take my CBD oil to your reminders for tomorrow at 6:30 a.m.
Thanks, Siri.
Is Siri always British?
No, she's Australian.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I can't really tell.
So I'm going to report back in a week.
Yeah.
I'm setting my alarm.
We're
going to do it.
I put it in my coffee every day. On weekends, I'll take it like twice a day.
I think it's helping.
Do it in the morning, and I'll do it at night before bed. Yeah, I was doing the. I'll take kratom as well, and that really helped with not so much as anxiety, but with
general malaise.
Fuck. Just that that fuck. Just that of like when you have to get up and go to work.
Yeah,
it wipes that out, and you're just like, hey, fuck, I'm alive today. And that's how it makes you feel. Like, hey, it's great.
It's a great day to be alive.
It's a great day. Is that?
It's Travis Tritt.
Oh.
I got rice cooking in the microwave. I got a 3-day beard, something no need to shave. That's maybe I'll grow a Fu Manchu.
Oh, that one, yeah.
It's a good song. Going back to Dad's real quick, though. Yeah. I was happy, if not for any other reason, than to have this time capsule of us sitting down and talking with our dads.
Oh, for sure. Like I told you, like that's probably the most I've been friends with you for 24 years.
Mm-hmm. First of all, our dads had never met.
Never met.
Crazy.
We talk about that on the show too. Like it is weird that they've never met. We've been friends. We lived right down the street from one another. Never met. You know what I mean?
They were busy.
Busy doing dad stuff. Working. They're busy putting food on the goddamn table.
That's right. But they met and they hit it off really well. And it was a great time capsule, a moment in time of just sitting down talking to my dad. He's made some cameos on the show before via phone, message, something like that. Or, I'll answer the phone, put him on speaker. But it was great to sit down with him. And I'll tell you what, man, after the show was over, actually, let me just pull this up real quick.
Sure.
After the show was over, I called him. And we got talking about it, and he thought it was really cool. And I could tell, like, by the end of the episode, he was kind of owning the mic.
Oh, he was.
He was he wasn't afraid to talk. And your dad spoke a lot too.
Oh, sure.
Because before we started, he was like, "Well, I ain't much of a talker," and I was like, "Oh, you'll do fine, Jimmy." And then he was great.
Once you get him going, he'll talk.
Yeah. So last night at 8:51 p.m., I got a text from my dad, and he said, "Hey, dude, you and Josh did really good today. I could tell y'all were really good together. I was impressed." Complete with the sunglasses emoji afterwards.
Oh, hell yeah.
Isn't that a sweet dad message?
That's a sweet dad message.
And then I also followed it up with, he sent me a cool meme.
Oh.
So I love those. One day I'm not going to get those memes from my dad anymore.
Is that a country? Is that going to be like a new country song?
Daddy's last meme.
Oh. And that was Daddy's last meme.
It was about fishing and Jack Daniels. And a girl with hard nipples. I don't know. We're going to get to the show now.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for listening. We are really proud of this. And without further ado, on to the show. Okay, we're here with a very special episode tonight.
It's been in the making for a while. We've talked about doing it for a while.
I think we've talked about this for 156 episodes.
From when we started.
And now we're here with the men who gave us life, our dads.
Welcome, dads.
This is a special Father's Day edition of Boys, and we're very excited. We're sitting out in beautiful Choctaw, Oklahoma, sitting out in the shop with our fathers.
What better atmosphere to chat with your dad, but in a garage,
Couldn't get any more dad than that. Sorry, I had to step away from the mic. So let's just take a moment to introduce ourselves. You know me, Robbie.
I'm Josh.
And we've got my dad, Robbie R. Harris Sr. You say hi?
Howdy. Most people call me Rob these days.
Okay, so just so there's no confusion, I'm Robbie. You're Rob. Let it be known.
To the world.
And we've also got...
We have my dad, Jimmy Montgomery. Say hey. Say hi.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Hey, there he is.
So we had this idea to do a show with our dads for Father's Day.
Right.
And we wanted to just kind of get into y'all growing up and us growing up and you guys raising us and anything that entails. So I want to ask first, Dad, what year were you born?
1958.
All right. Jimmy?
1950.
All right. So I was born in 81.
82.
82.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that a lot of things have changed between the births of you fellas and the births of us.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I just want to know, Dad, so let's go back. Where were you born?
I was born at St. Anthony's in Oklahoma City.
All right. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Oklahoma City, went to school there, but my parents always had a farm down southeastern Oklahoma at Atoka. So I spent a lot of time down there constantly on weekends, summertime. And then I moved down there when I got out of high school. So that always kind of felt like home to me.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I think when somebody asks where you're from, ask me where you're from. I know you were born in Oklahoma City, but you spent a lot of time down there. And I can tell anytime that you and I go down there, you know, that is kind of your home, kind of the place you call home.
Yeah.
And so you went there during summers, like all
summers, weekends. We were there all the time.
And when you were a kid, what did you do when you went down there? Did you do a lot of outdoorsy stuff?
Yeah, that's what you do in the country.
So
It's all outdoors.
So
I
you
think.
weren't like on a computer gaming,
No.
on your cell phone.
Not chatting.
There were no computers back then.
Never imagined that back then. I never thought I'd see the day when you could take a VCR and record a show and watch it later. I never thought I'd see that. So,
And you know what's crazy now? Something like a VCR is just so antiquated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah,
it's retro at this point.
Oh yeah, it's cool to get it. So if you find one used, people are trying to sell them for like 60, 70, $100. Like I could buy that $10 new.
Yeah,
back in the
thrift
day.
store.
Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time in Atoka, hunting, fishing, riding dirt bikes?
yeah, some of that when I got a little older. You know, I knew everybody down there. I was down there enough. There wasn't as many people down there then because your families owned more land. They were farmers and ranchers, and so it wasn't that populated. So you just kind of knew all the different people and their kids. And I was down there enough. I knew everybody, so it was like, you know, it was like almost I was there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's crazy when I would go down there as a kid with you. You know, you'd go deer hunting and I'd come with you, or we'd go fishing or something. And, you know, even growing up out here in Choctaw, you know, you've got 5 acres and that seems like a lot of land compared to my house in the city. But then when you go out there, it's just so vast and beautiful. And, you know, I was having those thoughts even just coming out here today. I was like, man, I want to live out here. And it's a hard sell to certain people. You know, my lady, she's from the country, so she doesn't really want to move back to the country.
Yeah, go country, city, country,
Yeah.
like just hopscotching.
Well, she loves the convenience of living in the city now.
Yes.
And she, you know, she got used to it real quick because she's from Apache, and that's pretty country. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah. It's about an hour and a half away from Oklahoma City, and I mean, she lives on a dirt road, lived on a dirt road, much like you do, and she's not in a big hurry to get back out there.
Yeah, well, convenience is one thing, but, you know, when you live outside of town, you got to think about where you work and where you might be able to choose a spot to live like that, because you do have to think about that. But, you know, when you get home, it's worth it.
I think so.
Yeah, Di and I were talking about that. Like, we've been looking at buying a house. Like, well, do we buy a house in the city or do we buy land and build something on it? Because, like you just said, at the end of the day, like, literally at the end of the day, yeah, the drive might suck. You might have to drive an extra 15, 20 minutes, the normal commute. But once you get there, like, it's all yours, you know? And you don't have a neighbor to worry about. You don't have to worry about people just jetting down the street. You don't have to worry about any of that shit.
Yeah, but when you get my age, like I just had a heart attack last April, and you like being close to hospital when you get to my age.
Well,
That is a great point.
But
That is-
there's a close one out here now, right? Isn't there one, like, I guess, close-ish? Like the highway and, like, Post or something? Or?
at I-40 in Douglas, they have at
Douglas,
St. Anthony
yeah.
Emergency Clinic, and then they have at 240 and Sooner, they have at Oklahoma Heart Hospital there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and another thing, when you think about getting older, and I've just turned 60, and 60 ain't a lot of fun.
Try 69.
I did it once. Hey, hello.
Hey, I try to tell you, young guys, you know, you're not far from 40. One of you.
No. I'm knocking on the door of 40.
Yeah.
And, you know, 40 was nothing. 40 was nothing.
Well, that's really good to hear. But we talk about this a lot on the show, mortality, getting older. You know, it seems like yesterday, not to sound cliche, but it truly seems like yesterday that Josh and I were hanging out in y'all's kitchens, your respective kitchens, you know, scrounging for food and playing our guitars and doing that. And now, you know, I'm not knocking on 40. I've opened the door.
Yeah.
I just haven't taken a step yet.
Yeah.
But man, it's scary. And to be totally honest, not to get like super serious, but it's scary sometimes when you start realizing, like, wow, life is short.
Yes.
And if I'm lucky, I'm halfway done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm lucky, because, you know, shit happens, as they say.
Well, my
Sure.
dad always told me, boy, once you hit 40, it goes in a hurry, and he was right. 40 wasn't nothing. 50, kind of a little eye opener, but now 60, you're, you know, it's getting pretty serious.
Yeah.
You realize, how much do I have left, and you know how you feel, and you go. I guarantee you'll go see the doctors more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't go at all to the doctor.
Josh never goes to the doctor. I go quite a bit. I get colds a lot, as we've discussed on the show numerous times. I get a lot of colds and respiratory shit, and like, yeah, the older I get, the more I'm like, I need to go get this taken care of because I don't want this to turn into something bad. And what I'm really hoping is that I get grandpa's genes. He's 92 years old, lives by himself, still drives. I mean, he's half in the bag, but
He still has his faculties about
he's
him.
got it. He's got it. He's chasing the ladies around. That's what keeps him young, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, I retired from the Air Force when I was 40, and I thought I was young. I mean, you know, I was ready to start another career.
Well, it was. I'm thinking about that. Like, so I was thinking about that driving out here. So when you were my age, I was 6. We were living on Tinker, and you would take me to T-ball practice on the back of your motorcycle. Like, you were a young dude, just riding motorcycle, whipping around, having a cool mustache, you know? And then, but the next thing you know, you're, like you said, you're 50, you're 60, and then where did the time go?
Well, it also makes you really start to appreciate, you know, things like today, like getting to sit down with you guys and talk. I was looking forward to this. You know, we talked about it last weekend, and it kind of happened quick, but I was so excited driving out here. I just couldn't wait to get everything set up and sit down. And, you know, it's funny that you guys have, I don't think you've ever met.
No, that's the first time.
No, we hadn't.
Which is crazy because Josh and I have been like inseparable since we were, what?
13, 14, yeah.
Yeah. I remember going to your church and played guitar with some of the guys at your church and gals at your church.
The lock-in.
In a praise band. And going to concerts when we were young. And we still do that. And that, to me, is like such a great thing that, you know, Josh and I still get excited about going to see a band we both like or getting out of town. Like we went to, you know, Denver. 2 years ago, to interview some people for the show. And it's just like, man, it makes you feel like you're still a kid. And, you know, you were so right, Dad. Growing up, you know, I wasn't Mr. Popular in high school, but I was liked. And I had a lot of friends. And then you get older and you get to like drinking age. And then you get a lot of friends. And I use that
On
term
payday,
loosely.
especially.
Your drinking buddies. Yeah. And then you get a little older and, you know, you kind of get tired of that whole bar scene and all that shit. And then those friends kind of disappear.
Right.
And I remember you telling me when I was young, you know, it's not how many friends you have, it's counting on those few good friends of yours.
Oh, yeah.
And that just rings true with, you know, Josh, Jake, Colin, Matt, you know, all my, I could count them on one hand, my close friends these days.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your best bud, old Butch, he used to live next door to you.
Yeah.
Did he buy that land after?
Who are you talking about?
Grover Butch Dearman III. Yeah. That name.
Is that a real name?
So my dad's best friend, I've always known him as Butch.
Right.
When I was in I don't know, I was like 12 or so. I found out his full name.
Yeah.
And it is indeed, let me just say it again for the record, Grover Butch Dearman III. What is it? Have I been wrong?
No. Butch is his nickname.
Oh.
His name is Grover Cleveland Dearman III.
That's a great name. That's a presidential name. Then you throw Butch in the mix, like, okay, well, never mind.
So now you know why he went by Butch.
Yes. The craziest part about that is there's 2 more Grover Cleveland Dearmans that have graced this earth.
Yeah.
I mean, what a name.
What a name. So how long were you guys friends? Like, were you a kid when they were friends, Robbie?
Well, they've been friends since what? Junior high or high school?
Ninth grade.
Did you grow up with him as an uncle? Like, did you call him like Uncle Grover or anything like that? Or Uncle Butch?
No, Uncle Grover.
What a weird name.
he was Uncle Stonehead. That's what he was.
Like Stonehead.
I grew up with like people that, you know, you call uncle, and then you realize when you're like, they're a no blood relation to me whatsoever. But
yeah.
you know, they're just part of the family. Been friends of the family for years. You know.
I wonder if that's an Oklahoma thing or like a Midwestern thing. Is there Uncle Grover in New York City?
I don't think so.
I think it might be a regional thing.
Like who? Okay, we talked about it on the podcast before, but I couldn't remember his name, and I still can't remember his name. It's a friend of yours. He had like a knot on his head.
Uncle Knothead.
He kind of reminded me of Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation. Mitchell. Uncle Mitchell. He wasn't blood related to us, right?
No.
Just a friend.
Just friend.
Just a friend. He was a kooky fella.
Well, he got shot in a deer accident. The guy shot at a deer, but the deer was between them, and he got shot right in the middle of his forehead.
Oh my
and
goodness!
He still got some pellets in there today.
So that's what that was. There you go.
Yeah, it wasn't a knot. It was a bullet hole.
Slight
Country
difference.
stories, man. Country stories.
So, Jimmy, what were you into growing up? You know, let me ask you this: where were you born?
I was born in Glenwood, Arkansas, a little town about 25 miles west of Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Okay.
I went to school at Cattle Gap, Arkansas, which there was 13 in my graduating class. I'll tell you how big the town was. And that was for about 50 miles around to get 13 kids in, for graduating class. But
And I'm sure it was a real diverse group of 13 people. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But every year we have a reunion, the first Saturday in August. Most people come, We've lost one first out of my senior class. And he got Agent Orange poisoning in Vietnam, and he came back and passed out and fell and hit his head on a Jeep bumper and killed him.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
So,
but that's pretty good odds, though. 13.
Yeah.
In your graduating class, only one, and that was something that he really couldn't help. It wasn't like old age or anything.
No, he was young.
I would imagine that the percentage of people who have died in my graduating class is much more than that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them died like while we were still in high school.
Yeah,
Some
and
of them right after high school.
That was crazy. I remember a kid died in a car accident when I was a senior. And I mean, you talk about, we talk about mortality and being thankful for being alive and stuff, but how earth shaking that was when, this kid didn't even start his life yet. And he's going to lunch one day and didn't come back.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, like I said, since I turned 60, one of the first things I do every morning is thank God I woke up.
Yeah. Another day.
I need to start doing that at 38. Man.
Yeah.
Seriously. So you grew up in Arkansas.
Yes.
When did you make your way to Oklahoma?
Well, when my brother graduated high school, went in the Air Force. He was there 4 years and got out, and he bought him a nice Mustang and stuff. And I graduated school. Where I come from, there's no opportunity to do anything, So I joined the Air Force in 1970 and went to Texas. I've been all over, But it's. I got married when I was 19. I got married before I went in the Air Force.
Okay.
And I had 2 daughters, and we got a divorce. And then I was a bachelor for 5 years, and
Living it up.
did all that bar scene you're talking about,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got tired of that. I said, I got to find somebody to settle down, So I married his mom, and we had 3 kids. So
Yeah. And the rest is history.
the rest is history.
Yeah.
So what were you into? And you're in the Air Force. You're young. You're a bachelor again. What interested you? I mean, you said you had a motorcycle, but what were you really into?
Well, that's in the Air Force or in the military. People get assignments and move. I'd buy and sell cars and motorcycles from people that was leaving. I'd buy it from them, sell it to somebody that just got there.
That's where I got the flipping gene from.
I was going to say, it's passed down. And what an end. If somebody's back's against the wall, they got to sell their car or their bike. Hey, I got a few bucks for you. Yeah.
You get some good deals that way. But
It totally was passed down.
Yep,
Because
for sure.
Josh is, and I think I get it from Grandpa. My grandpa's real into like auctions and garage sales and, all that good stuff. And I got that flipping bug several years ago, buying and selling guitar stuff and electronics and stuff like that. And then I often say that the student has become the master because now Josh is like the king of finding deals on stuff for like $50 and turning around selling it for $600.
Well, yeah, it might have been like, growing up, I'm sure you guys went to like the flea market a lot and stuff, and your dad would be like, that's a good deal, and he'd grab me like, Dad, it looks like a pile of junk. Like, it's actually worth about $200. They're selling it for $5. Like, yeah, all right. And now that's how I am. Like, I'm gonna grab that because they don't know what they got.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So
it's warm out here.
it's a little warm.
It's a warm day.
We had a fan over in the corner, but we decided to turn it way down low, and I'm very glistening.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's part of the ambiance here.
So yeah, we're out here. On the way out here, my dad and I were talking about, because we took the back, we didn't take the highway because you want to avoid all that construction. Got to avoid that construction.
Yes.
So we took the back roads here and driving through, Midwest City, Choctaw, and we were talking about how much it's changed, how it's kind of the same, but it's different. And then like we drive by places that kind of bring back memories of being a kid, like driving your car around, with your girl on your arm and going to the lake and making out a little bit, that kind of stuff. So.
When did they start doing that? I don't recall ever doing that.
You drove your old girl to the lake and making out? I think that's been something from the dawn of time. Since the automobile was made, it was made for parking somewhere and making out.
I don't think they do it now. I don't.
No, they don't get out of the house.
When I was growing up, weekend was the lake. You went to the lake. You went over and got somebody to buy you a case of beer, because you're just too young.
Yeah.
Then you'd go to the lake, or the river. We'd float the river. Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah, I kind of often idolize, or I guess what's the word? The era that you guys grew up in, it seemed so more free to just like, yeah, we're just gonna hop in a truck and go to the lake for God knows how long. It doesn't matter because you're in God's country. You're in nature.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you. You're not attached to a phone. You don't have to be anywhere at any set time. Just like this is it. You clock in, you clock out of your job, you go do your thing.
Well, it's like nowadays I plan my day around if my phone is almost dead. If I'm like sitting at like 14%, I'm like, I got to get somewhere with the charger.
Gotta have a charger.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There was a lot of freedom.
I fought getting a phone. Matter of fact, my youngest daughter, she got a phone, and then she wanted to change plans because her other friends were on plan. That's how I ended up with a phone. I didn't want one, and for the first year or so, it laid in my truck most of the time. My wife would call me. I'd get back in that after 10 missed calls because, I didn't have my phone with me.
Yeah. I remember when you got your first iPhone. That was a big day. Because here comes Robbie Ray Harris Jr. tech support, and you had the flip phone for a long time. And there were a lot of times where I was kind of envious of that because I was like, man, like, yes, these are great devices. They're so cool. But luckily Josh and I were old enough that we grew up before the internet existed. I remember Dad, you took me and Amanda down to, I think it was Sears in Heritage Park Mall. We got our first computer. Yeah. And I was probably like 17, 18.
You were a senior. You were 18.
Yeah, senior in high school. Got our compact Presario from Sears with the AOL disc. You got your 1,000 free hours.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being like, Dad, can you get off the phone? I need to use the internet. Or you'd be like, get off the damn internet. I need to use the phone and call your grandpa. And now like things have just changed so much.
Oh, that's a vivid memory in my mind that I hope never goes away, is being over here and we would take the landline and have to go from your room into the kitchen line. Yeah, and your dad would be like, get off the damn internet. I need the phone. I'm like, but just couple more minutes.
Yeah.
How long was that damn cord?
Oh,
so
100 foot.
Yeah, probably 75 to 100 feet, and it was just like a tripwire.
Yeah, as our inside jokes is tripwire.
Yeah, because we went from the jack in the wall, back behind your chair, up over the bar, into the kitchen, back through the bedroom, and it was like, and it was just long enough.
Yeah, just
long enough. And you trip over it if you were walking through there at night.
Lose the connection.
But
and sign in and listen to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got we were probably around the same age, like maybe 15, 16 when we got ours, and it was in the living room, and having to log on at night without them knowing.
Oh,
so you stuff the pillow behind the computers, but they still heard it.
Which is totally safe.
Yeah.
To cover a computer with a blanket.
Yeah,
or a
it's
pillow.
not a heat, like a fire hazard or anything like that.
Well, I remember, I think, let me ask you something, Dad. Would you consider me a good kid growing up?
Yeah, you were a good kid. You went through a couple-year period like all kids do where you were kind of hard to deal with a little bit. Not terribly bad.
But overall,
other than the instance I had to pick you up at Love's at 10:30 at night from the Oklahoma City Police because you'd mooned somebody going down the road.
But that story has been told on the show.
While the youth pastor at church was driving, other than that, and and the prank calls you and your buddies got in trouble over, and had to.
So we found. So I don't think you were involved with this.
I don't remember getting in trouble for prank calls. No,
it was me and Clint and Scotty, and maybe maybe a couple other guys. But so we were bored. Oh, it was definitely Adam and Alan. We were bored one summer, and we were just going through the phone book, and we just go through the phone book and prank call people. And it started innocent, just silly stuff,
No jerky boys level stuff.
No,
yet.
no, not even cussing or anything. And then we happened upon a guy by the name of Ted Wank.
Like, this is ripe for the picking.
It was like finding a treasure chest. Like, Ted Wank. So again, it started
Innocent.
innocent. We'd call him up and just be like, "Hey, Wank," and hang up, right? And then it escalated. And we started talking to him. And then one time I prank called him and I said something to the effect of like, "Hey, this is your neighbor, Mr. McCormick." Because I looked at a McCormick spice container in my friend's kitchen and I just pulled that name out.
Sure.
Turns out that his neighbor, his name was Bob McCormick.
Oh, wow.
And so he believed us. So that just fed into the pranking even more.
But you
and
didn't
more.
know.
No.
Oh, boy.
And then we called this guy like 70 times in a day.
Yeah.
One day during the summer.
That's harassment.
Which I'm not proud of, but enough time has passed where I can look back and kind of laugh at it.
Sure.
But can he?
No.
Yeah, right?
No.
He's scarred for life from that.
Well,
And the chief of police in McLeod damn sure didn't think it was funny.
So
Was it like harassment or something? Or?
no, here's what happened. One of the boys in the group, not me, on one of the calls. Well, okay, first of all, Mr. Wank decided to start recording these calls.
Oh.
Yeah. And in one of the calls, one of the fellas involved said he was going to kill him. And, I would have never
my
done
Lord.
that. Yeah, he was like, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
Something cheesy like that. And that's when it got serious.
Oh, yeah. Can't threaten murder.
So yeah, the cops, I forget what happened. Do you remember how it went down? Did you get a phone call or did somebody show up out
The
here?
house that y'all did this from, whose house was that? It wasn't here.
No, it wasn't. I think it might
You
have
spent
been.
the night with somebody.
It might have been Clint.
Yeah, well, yeah, it come down on them because they found out where the call come
That's right.
from. And then it spread to the boys that were involved.
Yeah. And so we ended up having to go to the McLeod Police Department and listening to all of these calls. They sat there in an office and just played them.
Were you just like so embarrassed? Like, oh, God, what did we do?
Dude, I was mortified. I mean, completely mortified. Because, when you're a kid and your parents aren't around, you cuss, you do,
Yeah.
you're learning. You're learning
Yeah, but
about
now you're
the
in a
world.
room with adults, with probably your parents. They're like,
Yeah, it was mortifying. I remember you sitting there and us listening to those phone calls. And man, it was, yeah.
Well, I just hope you never have to go through that.
Did you get your
'cause it
butt-
wasn't a lot of fun
Did you get your
for
butt
me.
busted for that one?
I did not get my butt busted. I was a little too old,
Yeah, for a butt bust.
but I definitely got grounded in trouble,
Oh, sure.
all that stuff. It was bad.
I never really. I mean, we would do the thing like we would order pizzas for a neighbor, but it was like a friend. But knowing now, that was probably like, can I get 20 extra large pizzas?
Yeah.
It's like $75 that a neighbor has to pay.
Yeah.
Like I think Catherine called 911 on her
911,
phone
yes.
once. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And she was little.
Yeah.
Little.
But see, I think that's almost excusable.
Yeah.
Like, my girlfriend Kate has a daughter and she's about to turn 5. If she did that, I mean, yeah, we'd give her a talking to, but it's not like we'd be
Yeah, you don't play on the
super
phone.
pissed. I mean, it might have been an accident. She might have just saw it on her iPad or something, But yeah, when you're, I was probably like 14 or 15,
Yeah.
maybe when that happened, and a little too old to be doing shit like that.
Yeah. I think I was a pretty good. I've never been in trouble with the law.
Ever?
Never been arrested.
Really?
Yeah, my dad told us when we were younger, like everyone gets one get out of jail free card, and I've yet, knock on wood, to use mine.
Oh, so you're pocketing that for later.
I'm 37 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use a get out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Might need to. Who knows?
Well, it's good that you can always call Dad
I'll always call on dad.
for that one.
Yeah,
for that one thing. Dad, did you ever get in any trouble when you were young? I don't think you've ever been arrested.
I've never been arrested and never been in jail.
You ever been in a cop car?
No.
Really? Never?
No.
Did you ever do anything that could have maybe gotten you in trouble?
Oh, hell yeah.
Just didn't get caught. Sly.
I was just very, very lucky. Oh, yes.
Would you do anything? What do you remember? Anything that you did? Like what are we talking? Like
Statute of limitations is probably long gone by this
we're
point.
good. Nobody
Well,
listens
I never
anyways.
did anything bad to harm anybody.
Right.
Or, steal anything, but I did some things I probably shouldn't have been doing.
Maybe like
Drag racing, maybe?
or maybe country road driving with a beer. Maybe a time or two.
Country road.
Yeah.
Country road driving
yeah.
with the beer.
Is that illegal if you're on a dirt road?
I think there used to be a...
It's,
yeah, is
it's
it?
not legal.
Yeah, right.
But, okay,
Just check
so
it.
correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there not a time in our country where you could buy beer at 18? Was that ever a thing?
I don't think so. Well,
They tried that when about the time I was in high school, and they, it was weird because they lowered the age for girls. Could go down and buy beer at 18, but boys couldn't.
That's weird.
Yes, they did that, and it didn't last long, 2 or 3 years.
Could you see that in movies that are based in like the 60s or 70s or whatever, and they check their ID and like, are you 18? Like 18?
Yeah.
The hell? Maybe it's just like certain areas, like states or something, states' rights or whatever.
Possibly, because I don't know if the legal drinking age is 21 in all 50 states. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But I remember being a kid and hearing people like, yeah, you can go to Mexico, and if you're tall enough to see over the bar, then you can drink. And I was like, ooh, I want to go to Mexico.
Yeah, it was this like
now I
thing.
don't want to
yeah,
go to
I want to party. Like, but do you really, man?
Yeah.
No, you don't. Like I think that's the older you get, the more you start to. You hear the words that your dad told you when you were a kid, and you're
man.
like, "You made sense. Why didn't I listen?" Because you're young and dumb. But I'm sure you guys knew, like, you guys are young, and it's gonna go through one ear and out the other. But I got to tell you, I got to do my due diligence and tell you,
I got to do my dad duties,
Yeah. You're being an idiot.
talk about 18. You go in the military at 18, and you go to Vietnam and get shot at 18.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you drink?
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you got in the military, there wasn't no problem. You could drink anytime, anywhere you wanted.
So that was going on when you were in
Yeah.
high school, right? The
Vietnam
Yeah.
War. Yeah.
how did you manage to evade that?
I went 2 years.
Well, but
In
you
Thailand.
but you didn't see any like
I was right across the river from Vietnam.
oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
Our planes went to Vietnam, bombed, and came back to our base.
What did you do? What was your job duty?
I
while
was
you-
a security policeman. I guarded the planes.
Okay.
And we had insurgents come through the fence and throw satchel bombs at our planes and stuff. You know.
wow.
I don't know if I ever shot anybody. I've shot at people out there but
Right.
I don't know if I ever shot anybody.
Never hit anybody.
No.
No confirmed
No
headshots.
No
or
for
anything like-
confirmed kills.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember, when I was around maybe 18 or 19, they reinstated the draft.
Yeah.
And I had to go down and sign up. And you talk about terrifying. Like, Jim,
That's
I
so
couldn't
scary.
even imagine, man. So thank you for your service, by the way.
no problem.
And I couldn't imagine, because I remember going down there and registering, and never in my life did I want to sign up for the military. Like, I respect the military. I think it's a great thing, but not for me.
Not for you. That's not for
me.
everybody.
No. And I remember going down there and signing up and thinking that I was signing up to go over there in like a month,
Yeah, I remember when that happened. We're like, why do we have to sign up for a draft? No.
Yeah.
Like, it's everybody does. It's just a thing. You're fine. You're gonna be all right.
I'm
scary.
too much of a weenie
Yeah.
to get on a plane and go overseas. Did you ever think about joining the military? Or was it kind of like father like son?
I didn't. My dad didn't serve. His dad died when he was 5, and he was the oldest son. So he came close to going, but he never went. And I had cousins that were in Vietnam, and when I got out of high school, I think Vietnam was ended when I was 14, 15 years old. So when I got out of the school, I had a pretty good job. I just never really thought about going in service.
Yeah. What was your first job?
Oh, my first job was mowing lawns, of course.
Yeah.
But the first job I ever had where they give me a paycheck was at Old Millie's Cafeteria.
What'd you do there?
Whatever they told me.
Yeah, I remember those jobs. You turn 16, you get a job. It's like, so you're just gonna you're gonna clean the toilets.
Yeah.
You're gonna bust the tables.
Yeah.
You're gonna basically do everything that we don't want to do, and we're gonna give you $5 an hour. How does that sound? Like, okay.
Well, back in them days, I started off at $1.65 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they raised the minimum wage about 6 months later, a dime. And boy, I thought that was really good.
Oh, yeah.
10 more cents.
Yeah.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
10 cents by 40 hours. What's that?
Gotta do that
$4?
math, yeah.
$4.
Gotta do that
Man,
math.
wow.
But back in those days, you could buy a gallon of gas for about 30 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we were saying that earlier today. Like, I could fill up because we were told my mom, like, yeah, well, we get 20. Oh, she gave my nephew $20 for doing something. She's like, did you ever just get $20? Like, yeah, on Sunday night, Dad would give us $20 each. for gas and lunch for the week. And Mom was like, how did that work? I'm like, well, gas was 65 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
You can fill up a tank.
Now we're
and
starting to sound old.
Then you have a little extra money to buy a taco or two at Taco Bell at lunch.
yeah. Jimmy, what was your first job?
Oh, I worked since I was 12 years old, I guess. My dad was worked in a pulpwood business, timber business. And every Saturday and every day in the summer, we was out hauling pulpwood. And,
For free, probably.
for free. But
Child labor.
the reason my dad didn't go into service, he had 8 kids. So, he had to support, I look back now, I said, man,
That's so many
I should have hit him a
kids.
lot more than I did, but yeah. And then my real first paying job, I guess, was a milkman's helper. He'd ride around on a milk truck, and he'd say, take a quart of milk in here, and a quart of orange juice, or some little chocolate milks. Take them in there and put them in the refrigerator. We went in the house and put them in the refrigerator.
Really? So did you carry around a bunch of keys, or did people just leave their doors unlocked?
Back then, most women didn't work, so there was somebody home.
That's where that whole
And you
old
saw
wives'
some
tale-
things you didn't want to see sometimes.
Yeah, I could imagine.
That's where the whole milkman's son thing comes from.
Right.
But
Well, it's funny, as Josh and I get older ourselves, and I'm into my career now. I finally went back and finished school and got into a job I really like, and I'm real thankful for it. And I work really hard at my job. And I don't want to name anybody in particular, but I'll just say in general, you'll see younger guys and girls who, their job isn't hard, but they act like it's such a put out.
yeah.
And, they're getting paid decent. Now, they're not raking in like the big bucks, but I just think sometimes I'm like, damn, like what you do for a living isn't that hard. Why are you being such a jerk about it, or like complaining, or not just working hard? Because Josh and I both, we've talked about it a million times. We both had a lot of jobs. When I was in my late teens, I went through jobs like I did underwear.
Yeah.
I'd work at a place, and if I didn't like it, I'd quit in a week and find another job. I think I did the math once. I think I probably had like 25 or 30 jobs in my life.
Yeah, that's because your dad had a job, though.
That is very true. That helped. Yeah, that's what he allowed me. He privileged me to be able to do that. But I think Josh had even more.
A lot. I think, my last tally was 57. But they weren't like actual. It was like you start something, you go, well, this is bullshit. I'm not doing like those vector marketing jobs. It's like, oh, this is a scam. I'm not working here. So you do it for like half a day. You're like, I'm not doing that.
Well, they feed on the young and the dumb.
Well, yeah, the rock stars wanted like, yeah, you want to sell cologne in a parking lot? Like, no, I'm not selling cologne in a parking lot.
One of my favorite jobs I had back in that whirlwind of gigs was we got the phone ringing here. A little ambiance. Is that your phone?
That's the home phone ringing up there.
Well, let me ask, do we need to take a break real quick?
We could.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Boys, episode 157. We're here with our fathers and just having a good old time. We were talking about jobs before, and just being young and stupid. And I remember signing up to sell knives. I think that was a vector marketing.
Yeah, it was a vector
thing.
market. They sold like knives and vacuum cleaners was their thing.
And boy, did I think that was going to be like my career, just the opportunity.
Make that money.
Opportunity of a lifetime right there.
Door-to-door knife salesman.
I don't think I made it through training. I think I saw through the BS about the 4th day of training.
Well, how was your time at Mazzio's Pizza?
Oh, well, Josh and I both worked
I
there.
also worked at Mazzio's Pizza. I took the easy way out. So all my friends, like, they either were delivery drivers or they made the pizzas physically. And they hired me like, well, we don't really need any, because all my friends worked there. Like, we don't really need any drivers or cooks. I mean, you could do the front.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'll fold boxes and I will do the salad bar.
I folded a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Most of the job is folding boxes.
And yeah, I was on salad bar as well. And I'll tell you what, maybe the worst job I ever had. Cleaning up after people at an all-you-can-eat salad bar.
Yeah. I think that's why those jobs are for kids, like service industry jobs. They're supposed to build up your character and make you a better person when you're older, so you're not that asshole who goes to a restaurant and just slaps ranch dressing all over the counter for a kid to clean up.
See, and that's the thing is I'm a pretty clean guy as far as my stuff. I like to keep my stuff tidy, in order. It almost like wears on me if the house is dirty, or if I've got stuff, like if I started a project. I like to work on guitars, so if I started a project the night before and I didn't clean up after myself, and I wake up in the morning and I see it. It's like, oh God, I got to get this taken care of. And I think I get a lot of that from you. You've always been a pretty tidy fella.
Tidy whities.
Yeah. Keeping things in order. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not saying everything has to be like spotless, but when I did that salad bar,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it'd make me crazy.
Yeah, it's too much.
But then, you know, as I get older, I'll go out and eat. And, you know, like I pre-bus my table
Oh, I
when
always
I'm
do
eating
that.
at a restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
what makes you more mad than seeing a group of people that just leave a complete
I know.
disaster?
And no tip.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the worst.
It's usually there's a big cross section.
Especially when they've got 3 or 4 kids with them and let the kids just
Yeah.
destroy the shit. And it's like, what are you teaching these kids?
Sure.
All-
Exactly.
All over and the chairs and stuff.
Yeah,
everywhere.
as Mazio's, it was always the Sunday after church crowd was always the worst.
I called that the nightmare shift. That was
shift.
the nightmare shift because, yeah, we'd get up and go into work, and you'd get there around 11, and the post church crowd would get there about 12:30, and you'd be ready. You'd be everything was clean, everything was ready to go, and then it just looked like a damn tornado came through.
Then all
there.
hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
You get like 5 or
Oddly
6
enough.
different families. Can we put like 18 tables together?
Yeah.
Like, sure. Just take up this entire restaurant with your Countryside Baptist Church.
It's like, dude, it's a Mazio's.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fine dining.
But it's a thing, like you guys were saying, like Dad just told a story about growing up, and in y'all's day, it was like you literally had like a burger stand and like maybe a pizza place, and that's it. And we grew up, we kind of had the Choctaw. All we had was Mazio's and Dudes.
Yeah.
So yeah, a burger place and a pizza place.
Yeah, exactly the
and
same.
that's it. That's all you had.
And you know, I mentioned that earlier as far as we talk about it all the time on the show, but I'm really thankful to be part of the last generation that grew up before the internet exploded, before modern technology exploded. Like, you know, I've got a little one around the house now, and she has an iPad. She's about to be 5 years old. And, you know, we try to limit her time on that. She gets it a little bit during the day, and then she'll get it a little bit before she goes to sleep at night. It's kind of our trick to get her to go to sleep. It's like, hey, you can go in your room and watch your iPad for, 20, 30 minutes, and then we go get it from her. And all that stuff.
My grandson, he stays on his. We got one at the house for him, and he got it there yesterday, and he's been on it till, well, when we left long ago, he was on it, so he stays on his iPad a lot. When I was a kid, you got out in the morning, you ate some breakfast, and my mom pushed you out the door, and you
till the sun
stayed
goes,
out till the sun came
Well,
down.
there wasn't shit to do in the house. When
No.
I was
Yeah, right,
a
right,
kid.
you're inside.
I mean,
Yeah, bored.
Black and white TV with 2, 3 channels,
yeah.
and there really wasn't nothing to do in the house. So that's what you did. You got up and
Went
stayed
outside.
outside all day.
Well, that happened when we were growing. When I was a kid, I remember it was like we were at kind of the rural area of Choctaw, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was you get up Saturday morning, and the choice is you're either going to be inside or you're going to be outside. None of this running in and out shit. Yeah. The classic dad is not cool in the neighborhood.
Well, I remember, you bought me, Santa brought me a Nintendo Entertainment System.
Dude, it was Santa, man.
When I think I was 5 when I got it, maybe 4. And that was the very first video game system I ever heard of, And now I'm, again, stepping through the door of 40, and I love video games. Like but the thing is, and Josh can attest to this, we've known each other a long time, I don't ever let it like dominate my life. Where I've had friends or I know people who that's all they do. And it might not just be a video game. It might be fantasy football. It might be anything. Drinking. It might be a lot of different things. And I've always tried to keep myself in check, and I feel like I kind of got a lot of that from you, because you were into things growing up. You were into hunting and fishing and riding dirt bikes and things like that, but you didn't obsess over it. Like, that's not all you ever did. You're too busy working.
I had a lot to do back in them days.
a job.
That's
I
all
mean,
you
you're
did.
working.
That's all you did. You went from your job to the next thing, softball practice, softball games, taking care of the yard, cooking, coming home and cooking. We did a lot of crock potting back in them
we
days.
did.
Oh, yeah.
We did a lot of crock pot and a lot of your famous cheeseburger pie.
What is a cheeseburger pie?
Why don't you explain that, Dad?
It was pretty bland, honestly.
What are the ingredients? What
Let's hear
entails a cheeseburger pie? It sounds delicious.
Not really. It
It's
do.
Ate a lot of them. Well, tell us the loving care that goes into a cheeseburger pie.
Well, I made a couple of dishes like that. Remember, I made the hamburger like meatballs, but they were just hamburger with a lot of salt and pepper on them in balls, and then and then balls. I said balls.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah. Sweaty.
And
Sweaty balls.
and then I'd take brown gravy and pour over it and bake it in the oven.
Oh yeah. I was a big fan of my dad's balls growing up.
Yeah, his gravy laden ball. Yeah, it's like my dad would do that too. It's like when mom was gone on like work trips or whatever, dad would just make these meals. I guess you'd call them that.
Meals.
Meals.
Large air quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, like what was the thing you did a lot was like peanut butter and syrup sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like just
Hey, that's good stuff.
real good stuff. You take peanut butter in a bowl and either maple syrup or white corn syrup. I believe you prefer the white corn syrup.
That's right.
Just whip that shit up and just spread it on some rainbow bread.
You betcha.
Put it on a plate, grab yourself some chips, and that's dinner.
Well, we joke about that a lot these days. So when it comes to food, I'm a scavenger. Like I don't not like to cook. I just don't love to cook. So like before Kate and her daughter moved in with me, I had about a year that I was bacheloring it up. I mean, even though I was dating somebody, I was like living alone, you know. And I'd go to the grocery store and buy some stuff, and you know, every night for dinner I just make something, a little something, you know, a lot of sandwiches, a lot of sandwiches. And now that we've got a little one around, it's like, well, we have to like cook some healthy stuff, or at least semi-healthy. We can't be feeding her just garbage all the time. And we cook a lot. And two things I've realized from having two new people in the house is a lot of dishes, a lot of laundry.
Yep.
Laundry, man. Like, that's all I do is do laundry, it seems like. Well, we do laundry.
But does that not like take you back to when you were a kid and like your parents would be like really they're always upset about laundry and dishes, and you're like, why? It's just dishes.
Yeah.
Like, no, because there's a bunch of you. Like there was 3 of us kids in the house. Like I couldn't imagine.
And each one of you usually had 2 or 3 over with you too.
Yeah. Robbie would be there. Like, so yeah, we'd have friends over all the time. So it's like, cool. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised you guys didn't like just strangle all of us.
It's just crazy how it's come full circle.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I was griped at about, I'm doing the griping now. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. Like I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just like, wow, you really do learn so much.
It's that cyclical life, man. Just how it goes.
Yeah, we joke around a lot though. Like if I make let's say I make just a turkey and cheese sandwich, and I got a side of some chips. Maybe it's on a sad paper plate. I'll take a photo of it and send it to Josh, and I'll be like, "Here's my sad dad dinner."
Yeah,
Like, that's it.
just a sandwich and some chips, man.
But yeah, for the record, cheeseburger pie was brown meat.
Sure.
I believe some shredded cheese on top.
Oh,
No,
yes.
you're talking about like ground beef. I'm
Ground
assuming.
beef,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Ground beef. Atop a piece of white bread with some cheese on top,
What kind of cheese we talking?
like shredded
Okay.
cheddar.
Shredded cheddar.
Bag of shredded cheddar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe a few crucial pickles. There might have been some pickles involved.
That
But,
sounds good.
but my dad, here's the interesting thing about my dad. He does not like ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. So we ate this shit dry.
I'm not a condiment man.
No, you're not. I mean, you like barbecue sauce.
For the record, Rob Harrison here is not a condiment man.
I love barbecue sauce. The perfect hamburger is cooked on the grill with some barbecue sauce on top and a slice of cheese and some pickles. That is an awesome hamburger.
So your condiment is on the meat itself.
Yeah.
How about you? Are you a condiment man when it comes to sandwiches or burgers or anything? Or what's your? I'm a mustard guy. I like mustard.
See, they call me the mayonnaise kid.
I'm the Miracle Whip guy.
Miracle. You've been a Miracle Whip guy. That was another dad treat.
Yep.
Dad would sit in his recliner, and he'd have a sleeve of saltines and a jar of Miracle Whip, and you just like the white trash caviar, just dip it right on there.
And that's the reason I had a heart attack.
Who would have thought between the corn syrup sandwiches and the Miracle Whip?
Hey, let me tell you a good combo you should try sometime, seriously.
Okay.
And I got this. My dad was an ice cream eater. He had ice cream nearly every night of the week. And, you know, I was a little kid, and I'd have a little ice cream with him. But sometimes get you some good vanilla ice cream and, you know, dip you some in a bowl and let it sit on the counter for just a little bit, not long, just so it softens a tad.
Okay.
And get you some Frito chips.
What?
And eat that with those chips like a dip. The
Sweet and
salty
salty.
and the sweet. That is a good combo. Try it sometime.
I'll try that out.
I'm trying it. I'm gonna go buy some Frito. I got ice cream at home. I'm gonna give me a big grab.
Now, you don't need no fancy ice cream. You just need some vanilla.
Some
How about
vanilla bluebell.
Some Brahms vanilla. How about that?
Classic
Brahms,
vanilla.
Bluebell, either one.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. We're dropping brain bombs.
Yeah.
Gourmet brain bombs.
I ate a lot of ice cream, and that's the reason I had 24 kidney stones too. So
Yeah.
I've cut back on a lot of things as I got older.
A lot of my friends, like who I grew up with, that I'll still talk to from time to time, they always talk about the plethora of snacks that was in our kitchen, and I'm sure that probably had a lot to do with maybe your diagnosis of diabetes, maybe your heart attack, when you have baskets of just snacks, just
Oatmeal pies
and Swiss rolls and honey buns.
I remember fondly going over to your house, and there would just be this beautiful bounty of snacks all the time.
She still does it. I went over to their house today, and there's just a basket of, like, you don't need you are old people. You don't need ho-hos and Swiss rolls and peanut butter cups.
Kate brought home a Star Crunch from work the other day.
Okay.
And boy, did I not enjoy the hell out of that. It had been probably it probably was at your house growing up was the last time I had one of those. And it's not that big. It's it's kind of cheap chocolate and the rice and stuff, but did I not enjoy the hell out of that?
Well, you know what? That's just like when we go to Butcher Barbecue. They always give you a Twinkie with your meal.
Right.
Matter of fact, they have a sign there that you get a Twinkie with your meal and said, we were a smokehouse or something to that effect. We're not a bakery.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you had a nice Hostess fresh Twinkie?
Oh, years.
It's
that spongy and the cream in the middle.
They're pretty good every now and then.
Yeah.
And again, it goes with that salty and sweet, like, barbecue sauce is spicy and salty, and then you have that Twinkie afterwards, and it really just clears the palate.
Yeah. Shout out to Butcher Barbecue.
Would you say that's your favorite barbecue?
Hands down.
Really? Have you been out there, Jim?
No, where's the
It's a Wellston. Right on 66 Highway.
Oh, maybe I have.
Nothing else out there.
Because I go that way to Arkansas sometime. Yeah.
Outdoors, they got the pavilion.
Yeah.
Oh, that's some good barbecue. You been out there, Josh?
Never been
Josh
to Butcher.
does not
I'm
eat meat.
vegetarian.
You gotta go.
Josh doesn't eat meat.
I don't eat meat, but I'll go and eat. I'll eat a shit ton of sides. I love sides.
I ain't driving an hour for potato salad.
No. Well, when we grew up, the barbecue we had was like Spencer's and like Mr. T's, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Spriggs.
Spriggs, yeah.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, you're talking about snacks. When Josh was little, we carried him on the kid's birthday. We'd always take them and put the other kids as a babysitter or something and make a special day. We carried him. Remember Applewoods, that restaurant? over there?
yeah.
And
Oh,
they'd
that's
bring
good.
those apple fritters,
You betcha.
and they'd bring them, put them down, and Josh would eat it. And he kept on. He said, "Tell him to quit bringing those things." I said, "Josh, you don't have to eat it. You don't have to eat it."
Like, they're bringing them. I want to eat them.
Oh, yeah, that was a good place. I ate there a few times.
I remember going there as a kid, maybe once or twice.
Oh,
I remember the commercials though, and they talk about those fritters.
It
and
was
stuff.
kind of pricey, but boy, they had good food.
Another place I remember growing up, we'd go to town. So that tells you that we're kind of from the country or the outskirts of the country. But during the summertime, Fridays were the day we'd go to town. Me and Dad, maybe Amanda, if she was around. Me and Dad and Amanda, and we'd stop at a little cafeteria on the south side.
You betcha.
Called Dodson's Cafeteria.
Yep.
And it was kind of like a
Old style cafeteria.
like you went down the line and you picked out what you wanted.
Like a Furs or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Now, was it all you can eat?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
You went through the
item.
line and got your food.
Okay.
Pick what you want.
And I remember being like,
I miss that stuff.
I remember being a little old, and I'd be getting the child's plate. And boy, you talk about embarrassing for a kid. Dad was a cheap ass, wanted to save $2.
Save a couple bucks.
It was still legal.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "Tell him you're 5," or however old it was.
I'm 14.
Dad, I have a mustache. Can't be eating the child's plate. But that place was awesome.
Well, they had two of them on the south side. One at 44th and Western, which was pretty close to where we lived when you were born, and then 59th and Penn. And that was always Amanda's favorite place to eat. She loved that place. And I saw in the paper where they were closing the final one down.
Oh, man.
And I took her over to eat.
Did you really?
About a week before they closed it.
The final trip down the buffet
Oh
line.
my God, they had awesome food.
It was good. I remember.
It wasn't no damn Golden Corral. Let's put it that way.
No. But it's something about dads. They always know a spot.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, your spot was Curtis Watson's. You ever been to Curtis Watson's, Robbie?
I don't think so.
Tell us about this nice truck stop restaurant,
That's
Curtis
on
Watson's.
102 South. Yeah. we'd go down and had good hamburgers. We'd all get together.
But okay,
and it was reasonable. It was reasonable. It was,
that's probably what it was. The prices are on point. But okay, how did you find out about it? Because this is it's literally connected to a truck stop. So like, you had to have found out about it before you took the family there, right? Or were you just curious?
I think it's somebody from church was going to go there one day, and y'all, let's go out to eat. Let's go out. Y'all always want to go out to eat.
I was going to go out to eat.
I said, how's the price there? He's very reasonable. I said, okay, we'll go.
Well, hell, when you got several kids,
That's
reasonable
true.
sounds good.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah, whatever.
Talking about that age thing a while ago. My oldest daughter now, she's 49, I guess.
Oh.
And I stopped at a motel. I had all 5 of my kids with me. And I told her, if you get over 14, they charge you extra for the room, I said, you're 12. You're 12.
Right.
Went in there and...
Savings.
I am not. I'm 14 years old.
Oh, no.
You blew it. You blew it. So I had
It's coming out of your allowance.
Yeah, got 2 rooms, had to pay full price for both of them.
Ruined it.
Totally ruined it. I think Matt from fatbison.com, sponsor of the show, I think he's talked to me about Curtis Watson's. I need to go check it out. Do they have catfish there?
It's been so long since I've been
Okay.
there. I really don't know.
I think
Just
he's
on the
mentioned
way
it
to
to me.
Shawnee, because
His mom lives in Shawnee.
go to
so
the
I bet-
Shawnee Mall, out
Yeah,
there.
classic.
Classic mall.
One of your many jobs.
I worked out there. I worked at a little store called It's a Small World. It was a weird store.
Oh, yeah.
It's a weird store.
What did it sell?
It sold a lot of ceramics, like dragon ceramics and crystals.
That's when you know
lot
you've
of
made
world
it.
music.
You're like, yeah, I'm wrapping up this ceramic dragon to sell to somebody.
Yeah, this dragon that's wrapped around a snow globe for $65 to this old lady who's a mystic or something.
Did you think you'd made it when you was living down there in Austin, sweating your ass off and making them damn high drugs all day?
For $10 an hour, which, for Austin, that ain't nothing.
No, you moved to one of the most expensive cities in the country to make $10 an hour, but it was cool.
And it was
cool.
hotter than hell, and you were sweating your ass off every day.
Oh, yeah. I did not think I made it. And that's why I moved back home with my tail between my legs because I ran out of money.
My first base in the Air Force was at Austin, and we had a deal. We had so many people that the sharpest dressed person at guard mount would get the day off. So, boy, you'd spend a lot of time polishing shoes and stuff,
Heck
And
yeah.
you stand there in that sun, it'd just beat up and roll off. It was so hot, So,
It's a different kind of hot down there. I worked in a metal building with no AC, and we were cutting up cow hides with a big old press thing, like a hydraulic press, and building these rugs that this guy was selling for an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, they were pretty.
And they're beautiful, but we were making me and Matt on the show. We worked down there together, and we'd barely made enough money to pay our bills.
Yeah.
But we sure as shit would go down to the store and get a 6-pack of beer every night after work.
Yeah.
Because we earned it.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd get home and you'd just be covered in hair, and it would just stick to you because it was so damn hot down there.
Oh, I remember when you were there, and that was your dream. in high school, you weren't. I don't know if making damn cowhide rugs was your dream, but you was getting the hell out of Oklahoma.
Right.
Oklahoma was too small. You want to go to the big town.
Yeah.
Big city.
Didn't last long.
I didn't really want you to do that time, but it was a good thing for you.
was.
Got
Buying the
that out of
van.
your system. Realize Oklahoma ain't too damn bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I did that too. I mean, I moved to Texas, lived there for a while, and hightailed it back home.
Yep.
And then moved to California for a bit, and then again, I thought right back.
Right
Okay,
back
so
home.
it's expensive. Everywhere else is really expensive to live, and you want a decent job. Good luck finding one.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
wants to pay you dirt to live, to pay or to work. So it's
yeah, talking about that press on those hides, I had a job. We had the only business we had in that little town I grew up in was a glove factory. And you had this hydraulic press, you pressed out, they had a pattern, you'd press out glove.
Yeah.
And I was standing right, my machine's right there, you look outside, and I was sitting there. I don't dig this here, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd go to the bathroom to smoke. The supervisor's open the door and the smoke just pour out because there'd be 10 of us in there smoking, And finally one day I
get a 10-minute break.
That's it. I said, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
We did kind of the same thing at the hide place, but we'd go out in the woods. It was out in B Creek. anyways, out in Austin off Highway 71, beautiful. Like
Wasn't that by the nudist colony, wasn't it?
It was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't far from there. And just beautiful place, but we'd sneak off behind the building and go smoke a joint and then come back in. It was like the only way to get through the day.
That's what I figured. I knew you wasn't smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. I was never a big smoker.
Jazz cigarette.
Yeah, them left-handed cigarettes.
Left-handed cigarettes.
But yeah, I definitely came home. It was hard work, really hard work. And that's why I think all these jobs we had, I think that kind of made me really appreciative for what I do now. Because, like my job now is not physically demanding at all. Very mentally taxing, though. Very mentally. A lot to remember, a lot to work on, a lot to stay on top of. But I'm so thankful for it. And that's going back to what we were talking about earlier. I don't get why people aren't thankful for... I mean, you're not shoveling ditches.
Right.
Unless you are shoveling ditches. In that case, yeah, your job sucks, man. Maybe get another job.
Ditches got to be digged.
Ditches
Somebody's
got to be
do it.
dug. Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody
You know
does
what?
have to do it.
One thing leads to another. I've
That's
been in
right.
places where
Yeah.
I thought this ain't going to go nowhere, but you know what? You show up and you do your job, and somebody will notice it.
Yeah. Well, you guys came from a time when retirement was an actual thing where you can retire through a job. Dad, you were the Air Force. You worked at the, what was that place called? General Mills? GM?
General Motors.
General Mills.
He's making cereal.
I was a cereal boxer.
So cereal boxer. But you worked at GM, and GM plant was one of those jobs when we were like kids that, you graduate high school, you can always get a job at the plant. And then that closed, so what do you do? Like you said the only plant when you were a kid was a glove making plant. So what do you do when you're in a small town? You got to get out of that big, get back to the big city.
Yeah, you get out or you make gloves.
Well, like going back to spending a lot of time down in the southeast of Atoka, a little community called Bentley. It wasn't even a town. They had a little bitty store, a church, and a community center, and a volunteer fire department. Back in those days, unless your parents had farming or cattle, especially farming with the cost for equipment, unless your parents, grandparents had that and set you up in that wasn't even a possibility.
Oh, yeah. That's where it was where I grew up, too.
So there was no jobs. I loved it down there. I had the best times of my life down there. Yeah. And I tried to, up at Atoka, they had an Ethan Allen furniture factory. I tried to get on there twice, and I had experience doing stuff like that. I never got on, and I was doing construction, and I'd make some pretty decent money for a month or two.
Until it rained, like it just raining now.
Yeah.
And, I got tired of being broke all the time.
Yeah.
And so, I had a chance to come up here and get a job. So I didn't want to come back, but I didn't really have much of a choice.
Right.
Yeah. That's just like me going to Austin. I just didn't have much of a choice, man.
I know you
I
did.
had to come back and live with you again.
No, when you get down to that last... Well, you start pulling the money, like it's getting so thin. You're like,
Well,
I don't want to do it. I don't want to admit defeat.
Yep.
And then you're just like, you know what? Fuck it.
I took it a step further, man. I lived on a credit card after a while because, our rent was so expensive. I didn't make any money. And, of course, I was young and dumb and wanted to go out all the time and chase girls around and drink and have fun. I played in a band down there.
What you do in your 20s. That's what you're supposed to do with your 20s.
And so I remember...
Run around.
I remember going to the grocery store.
And work, I guess.
Hey, Jimmy, did you have a credit card in your 20s?
No.
I got my first credit card when I was like 34. So.
Yeah, I screwed up a couple times there. But, hey, I'm good now.
Hey, you learned about debt.
I did learn about
what it is and how to not ever do it again.
Avoid it if possible.
Avoid it, yeah, about all possible.
Well, nowadays, I think a credit card is a good thing to have if you're really smart with it. Let's say you need a new couch, and maybe you don't have the $800 laying around to buy a couch. Put it on a card, have a plan to pay it off, especially, a lot of places have 0% interest for a year now. If you can get that thing paid off in a year and it builds your credit, that's great.
I've got a credit card I use it quite often, but every month I pay it off at the end of the month. I don't
down to zero.
Yeah. Don't carry
Carry
over.
But that's the way to use it.
Yeah.
Sure. It's great for emergencies. You're traveling,
Right.
whatever. Something comes up unexpected. But
Yeah. You have to go on an unexpected trip. Like, well, I'm not going to pay $1,000 for a plane ticket out of pocket. I'll put it on a card.
Yeah, but back then I was putting like bar tabs on it. And that's dumb.
I've never done that in my life.
not a good idea.
No.
Well, when you guys were, a bar crawling age, they didn't have credit card readers. It was all probably just cash bars.
That's cash,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
It's all cash.
Oh, yeah.
All cash.
Unless you knew them real good, you could write a check if they knew you and your family. And,
Write a check for these
knew where you
beers.
worked. And
Well, that's also
check at
back
the
like,
bar.
okay, when you went to a bar, how much was a beer at a bar, though? And,
probably 50 cents.
yeah.
Yeah.
For a Bud Light or a
The good old days.
The good old days.
But that
Yeah.
was before liquor by the drink, where you couldn't go into a bar and order 7 and 7 or
Yeah.
Tom Collins or whatever. You had to bring your bottle
Yeah.
Oh,
to
you-
the bar
really?
Yeah.
and give it to the bartender.
And they would cork
and
it.
they,
yeah.
and they would make your drinks.
And
Really?
and make other people's drinks too.
Yes, yes.
I didn't
yeah.
know that was a thing.
And
Yeah,
so
it's
then you got to
called
go
private
home
clubs.
and put what's left of your bottle, an open bottle in your car and drive home with
Yeah.
while you've been drinking. That was real smart.
Wow.
Or you leave it at the bar. And they put a little duct tape on it with your name on it. It's Jimmy's. This is Jimmy's Old Crow.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a dry county. They didn't sell beer. They didn't sell nothing. You couldn't buy beer in that county. But it had more beer cans on the side of roads than the other counties. You know. So
Well, it goes back to that. Like, yeah, sure, it's illegal to drive with beer in the car, but when you're in a small town, hell, when I was a kid going out to Arkansas to visit family with, it's where my dad, we go there a lot. I mean, how often would we go to Arkansas? Like
about every weekend.
every
other
weekend. That's what you do. Get done with work, hop in the car. So when my cousin got of age where he had like 16-year-old friends, I'm like 13, we're getting a truck and do the same thing you guys did when you were kids. You go to the Strip, you meet at the Sonic, which is the equivalent of the drive-in restaurant.
Right.
And you just ride up and down that strip. Someone pulls out a 6-pack of Natty Light, and you're like, what? My first beer I ever drank was in Arkansas. Some dude, older guy. We're gonna go down, go to this field party. I'm like, all right. And you go down this dirt road, and it feels like you're driving into nothing because it's not even a dirt road. It's just there's trees by you.
Yeah.
Like a path.
A path, and you end up at this giant bonfire, and this dude like shoves a Natty Light in my face, or no, it was a bush. I'm like, no, I'm good. And he pulled out this like bug knife. You're gonna drink it. I'm like, okay. And I took a sip. I was like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, this tastes terrible. It's like drinking piss. I've never drank piss, but I would assume,
Sure.
when you're 13 and never drank beer before, a bush is gonna taste like piss.
Yeah, I didn't really drink a lot before I was 21. There were a handful of encounters, but I do remember the first time I got really schnockered. I went over to a buddy of mine's house who I spent a lot of time with in high school, and it was his birthday, and he had 2 friends over, me and another one of his buddies.
Was that Russell?
Yeah, and his mom bought him a bottle of vodka. And I think it was probably his 16th birthday.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Woohoo! Good parenting. That's real good parenting.
Well, and a great choice because it was a nice bottle of McCormick's.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, just the
Top shelf.
top shelf stuff.
shelf.
And I mean, it was a big bottle. It was probably a liter.
yeah.
Let's get him hooked on the good shit early.
Yeah, with the handle, like it had the handle on and everything.
Yeah. And I hadn't really, I mean, there might have been a time where I tasted a beer, maybe had a beer to fit in or something, but I'd never really been drunk before. And she brought that in, and he had a bunch of Kool-Aid. And we were making vodka and Kool-Aid, and we went hard on it. I mean, I probably had like 5 or 6 of
Well,
these things.
you're a kid. You don't know how to you don't know what a shot is. Like how much
heavy-handed pour, I'm sure.
It's like half a glass of. That's a good mix.
Got so drunk that I woke up in the bushes out in front of his house.
How old were you?
I was 15.
See, I didn't start drinking like that until I was like of drinking age.
I woke up and I was in a hoodie and some jeans, and I was laying in the bush, and right next to my head when I woke up was just a huge pile of puke. So I must have just been vomiting throughout the night. And you know what? I think that night made me not really want to get into drinking, until I was of age.
That did it.
Oh, it was terrible.
Wait, but you have friends you hear stories about that, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been drinking since I was like 13." I'm like, how? Why? How do you get it? 2, what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you guys grew up in a different time. But, I mean, when did you have your first beer, Dad? Were you like 9?
No, I was in my early teens. But I remember I had older brothers, and I went with them. And,
See their mistakes.
Yeah, and I was included, so they had a beer, I'd have a beer, So
How many older brothers did you have?
4.
4 older brothers. Ugh. That's so many. It seems like that's so many kids.
It's a
Now,
lot
which
of
one
people to
chopped your
look up
toe
to.
off?
The one that wrecked the car.
Yeah,
my
okay.
car. Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah.
Well, back then you had to chop up kindling to start your fire and stuff, And he was out there chopping some kindling, and then stupid me, I was out there just messing with him. I said, "Yeah, just chop my toe off." He chopped my toe off.
Oh, he called your bluff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My mom took a rag with kerosene on it, wrapped up my toe, He carried me to the doctor. He sewed it back on. There's a scar across there today. Still,
wow.
It still functions and everything.
That's so weird.
That's crazy. When's the first time you had a beer, Dad?
Oh, yeah, get this. This is talk about some good parenting. Mm-hmm. My dad, oh my gosh, I was young, 6. We had a 1962 Chevy Impala 4-door, and my dad always had a bird dog. And me and my older cousin, Jack, he's 2.5 years older than me, we were going with my dad down to Atoka fishing, and we were in the back seat. Of course, this is for seat belts, and he had one of those styrofoam coolers, and he stopped at a little place in Ada to get some bait, fishing bait, and he buys 2 6-packs, gets some ice. And me and my cousin Jack, I'm 6 maybe, and he lets us, we get to bugging him, and we're riding in the back seat with a bird dog and an ice chest, and he lets us open up one of them beers and sit there in the back seat, driving it, going down the highway.
My God. You'd have never done that with me.
Hell no.
I didn't even, all my life, you've been a beer drinker.
Not so much.
Pretty much.
No, not when you were younger.
Okay, not younger, but I'm talking about by the time I wanted to maybe steal one from you.
Yeah.
But I never did. Let me rephrase that. I might have, but I didn't do it all the time, and I didn't do it when I was young.
Yeah.
When
you were old enough.
You never went down in the cellar and smoked dope either, did you?
Hey, we didn't do that. What?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, see, my dad over here, you stopped drinking when I was born, right? Like, or a little bit before. Like, there was nothing in the house. We never had, like, as far as I remember, there's never beers or anything in the house.
No, I quit for a long time. Well, I still don't really. Every once in a while.
But I stole something from my dad. I was 21. My dad was on his own. Then my parents separated. And he was bacheloring it out in Choctaw, and he had this bottle of vodka. And me and my sister over at his house, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have a couple of drinks of this vodka. And ends up, I drank the whole thing.
And put water in it.
And I put water back in it.
When
I was stupid drunk, I was like, he's not gonna know.
Smart move.
Yeah. Smart move. And he's like, refilled it with water. But I was an adult. I was a grown man at that point. Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing. You mentioned the cellar, the storm shelter.
Yeah.
And when I was young, I dabbled in smoking some pot when I was in high school. And oh boy, did I think that you just had no idea.
Yeah.
Did I think that I was just really pulling the wool over your eyes? And you knew. You obviously knew.
I didn't for a long damn time. No,
really?
I didn't. Well, I don't go down there and check that cellar. I clean it out once a year, and if I have to, I go to it. But
see, that's why it was smart in retrospect, Robbie.
I don't walk over and open that cellar door every day.
Dad, I used to smoke pot in my bedroom. Like, I'd make one of those little tubes out of like a cardboard thing with some dryer sheets in it.
Yeah.
And I had a little pipe, a little black pipe, and I would open my bedroom window, and I would take a hit of that thing, and I'd blow it out the window. And I'm not proud of that, but it existed.
Trying to get it past you. There was a time I was probably fresh 16, and me and my friend Bronson would go over to a friend's house, like just 3, like on the other side of the neighborhood. We'd go hang out, and she had a brother who really loved drugs. He was way into smoking pot, and the other brother would like drink. So the first time I ever had hard alcohol, it was Jim Beam 7 Star, and he was passing that around. I was like, oh yeah, got to be cool.
Yeah, got to fit in.
Take a sip, and the other guy passes around a bong. The first time I ever smoked weed was a bong. Wow. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, and like put my mouth over it like an idiot. So he shows me how to do it.
Wait, like you were sucking it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
classic
we're there,
Josh.
and like we really want to fit in and be cool, and I get. They say you never get stoned the first time. Like, no, I was ripped, and my buddy got even more ripped. And then I went back to my house, and that night, I don't know if you were you home for that one when Bronson puked all over the bathroom? Yeah. Oh. So we're like, oh, we got pizza. You must have. And my dad, you must have known what happened. Like, drive him home then. Like, what? Okay. Yeah, sure. You're right. I'll drive him home.
Yeah.
All the way to 23rd Street. Cool. Oh, that was like a life learn. And then I think I got the Mustang stuck in a ditch that night, too.
There was one time we were living out here on this land. It was back when the old house was here. And my buddy Mark was over, And it was when you were working nights, and Amanda and I would be home at night every night, and we were much older. I mean, we were like late teens, maybe even early 20s.
Just graduated.
Yeah. Well, we made some pot brownies one night, and Mark didn't really smoke.
Is this Mark
Alexon?
Yes.
Yeah. We're just naming all kinds of names on this episode.
dropping them.
Yeah, that's okay. So I made some brownies. And, you know, when you're doing that kind of stuff, you don't really know the strength of that kind of stuff. It's not regulated when you're making them yourself.
Well, it's not like now you can't go to a weed shop and just be like, hey, I need 20 grams of this.
Yes, exactly.
Like, nope. You know
So
what
we
you're
made some, and Mark came over, and Wes came over. And, you know, I had a brownie. Amanda had a brownie.
Oh, my goodness.
Wes had a brownie. Mark comes over. He's like, I want a brownie. And we were eating probably squares that were like that big, 1.5 by 1.5 inches.
Was he aware that there was marijuana?
Yeah, he was, but he didn't know how strong they were. He got a brownie, no joke, fold a dollar bill in half and probably that big. He ate it and freaked out. I mean, he was trying to call 911 on his cell phone, and I remember there was a point in the night where I was wrestling him to the ground and pulling his cell phone out of his hand, like, you're not doing that, you'll be okay. And then we're all having a great time in the living room watching TV. And Mark, he was laying in my bed. We were like, go lay down, man. Just go lay down, sleep it off. And he kept coming in, and he'd wander out of the bedroom and be like, I think I need to go home. I think I need to go home now. We're like, we're not taking you back to your parents.
We are far too stoned for this.
So he ended up calling his parents, and his parents came and picked him up.
Oh, my goodness.
Did he rat you out?
No, he
Okay.
didn't. That was the most beautiful thing, is he didn't rat us out. By the time they got there, he kind of had peaked and could handle himself, and he just faked sick. He's like, oh yeah, I was sick, but he left his car here, and then his parents came and got him. Long story short,
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a wild time.
I think all the kids is fake sick, you know,
Yeah.
drinking or something. You know,
yeah.
Did you
I
ever
got
get-
some bad food. You know?
Yeah.
Did you ever get busted when you were younger for doing anything?
I fell asleep on the commode one time and fell off in the floor. And the mom come in the next morning, hit me in the head with the door. I've done a lot of stupid things that I'm not proud of.
But you know what? You live and you learn.
Yeah.
You get older, and you know, now I wouldn't do anything stupid like that. And everything's legal now, so
You're A-okay.
go down and get my medicine.
But
and
it's
call
not
it
like
a day.
you're not going to make a whole pan of brownies and get loaded.
No.
You know, that's
No.
a younger man's game.
No, I find myself, as I get older, I find myself a little more worried about that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to overdo it. Like, when I was in my 20s, I went to so many concerts that I don't really even remember because we were drinking so much. And now that I'm older, it's like I don't even drink at concerts because I want to remember it.
Yeah.
Remember the experience. And especially when you spend so much money on something.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't... Like when we went to our last concert together, I think maybe I had 2 beers.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't overdo it.
No, there's so many shows, like, people like, you know, like to reminisce, like, nostalgia, like, man, this show was so awesome. Were you there? It's like, I remember going to it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, you're like, physically, yes.
Physically, I was there. Mentally, no, because, you know, dollar Lost Lakes or whatever. You're like, oh, like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Terrible.
We're going to wrap up here in just a minute, but I just wanted to open the floor to see if anybody had any closing thoughts.
Yep.
Or if you'd like to give our listeners some advice. You know, I've taken your advice for many years, and I'm just curious if you have anything to say to our listeners. I really appreciate you guys coming on, by the way.
Thanks for having
This
us.
meant a
fun.
lot to us, and we've been talking about this for a long time. So, what is that sound? Is that your guinea?
That's the guinea.
Oh, we thought the
The
guinea
guinea
was
is going to rear its ugly head here in a minute.
And now, these aren't your guineas.
No, they're not my guineas.
Where did the guineas come from?
Dude down the street had 8 of them, and they started spending all their time here.
So this is going to make me sound stupid. What's a guinea?
What's a guinea?
It's like a chicken, but not.
Is it like a scary looking chicken? Are they
Yeah, they're very odd looking.
They're odd looking.
are they
bird.
aggressive?
No.
Okay.
Not unless they got babies. You don't want to
okay.
mess with them. But
Okay.
they're just an odd looking, odd acting bird. They say they're great watchdogs.
Okay.
Because if something ain't as normal as
Yeah.
around, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of noises now, so I think that's our cue to wrap up here.
Yeah, there's the dogs.
We got a dog standoff going on. We got guineas. We got all kinds of stuff.
We should do one quick word of advice from each dad.
Yeah.
life lesson you can pass down to our young listeners
Or us. We'll still
or
take
us.
it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Oh, I don't even know where to start.
We're putting you on the spot here, man.
Get your shit together in life as early as you can.
Right.
Whether it's your finances, whether it's your family, because it goes in a hurry, and you'll be looking back, and you want to be in a good place to do that.
And take care of your health, because the older you get, the worse you feel. So the better you take care of yourself when you're young, the better you'll feel when you get older.
Oh, don't we know that?
Take care of your back. And
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end the episode, guys. Thank you so much
Thank you, guys. This is-
for coming
Thanks
on.
for having me.
Yeah, we'll
Hey,
see you next week.
We,
What?
We didn't even get to the good shit.
Like what? Come on, we'll do an addendum.
No, I'm just teasing.
To be continued.
Yeah, maybe we'll do this again next
We'll do
time.
part 2. We'll do
Next
part 2.
time.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.